Every morning, Prophet Mark made it a habit to be the first person to arrive at the church by 6 a.m. before anyone else appeared. He would unlock the heavy iron gates and push open the church doors. The quiet stillness of the sanctuary welcomed him, the air heavy with the scent of old wood and faint traces of incense from previous services. Once inside, he didn't linger in the main hall. Instead, he walked quickly to his private office at the back of the church. The room was small but well furnished, with a sturdy desk, a soft leather chair, and shelves lined with religious books and decorative artifacts. This was where he spent the early hours of the day, sitting quietly with his head bowed, as if in deep prayer or preparation for the day's service. His followers believed he was communing with God during this time, gathering divine messages and visions for the day. To the congregation, these moments of solitude were the secret behind his powerful prophecies and sermons. But no one ever entered the office to see what truly happened during those hours. By the time the other church workers began to arrive, Prophet Mark would step out of his office, looking calm and composed. His presence always commanded attention. With a slight nod or a kind smile, he would acknowledge the workers who greeted him eagerly, their voices filled with admiration. He never lingered to talk, though. His focus remained on the tasks ahead. The workers would go about their duties, preparing the church for the service. They dusted the pews, checked the microphones, and ensured the instruments were ready. Meanwhile, Mark would take his place near the altar or move around quietly, observing everything. His early arrival set the tone for the day, filling the church with a sense of reverence and anticipation. As the church filled with worshipers, Mark returned to his office one final time. It was said that this was when he finalized his messages and gathered his thoughts before stepping out to face the congregation. By now, the church was buzzing with activity. The choir rehearsed, and ushers guided people to their seats. When the time came, Prophet Mark would step out of his office and make his way to the pulpit. His presence alone was enough to lift the spirits of the crowd. The service began with prayers and worship, and as the choir sang soul-stirring hymns, he stood silently, waiting for the right moment to begin his sermon. What made Prophet Mark stand out wasn't just his commanding presence or his powerful sermons. It was his ability to see into people's lives as if he had been living with them in secret. Week after week, new visitors left the church astonished, sharing stories of how the prophet knew intimate details about their lives, details they had never shared with anyone. To his followers, this ability was proof of his divine connection. They believed he was chosen by God, a man blessed with extraordinary gifts to guide and heal. Yet there was a mystery surrounding him that no one could fully explain. The workers who spent the most time around him spoke of his disciplined routine and focus, but even they admitted they knew little about his private life. For all his fame and influence, Prophet Mark remained an enigma, a man whose power inspired both awe and questions. Prophet Mark's church became known as a place where extraordinary things happened. Week after week, people traveled from near and far to witness the miracles, hear his prophecies, and find solutions to the problems weighing them down. The church was unlike any other in the city. The atmosphere was charged with energy, and the congregation gathered in eager anticipation, convinced that their lives would be changed forever. Every Sunday, the church was filled to capacity. Seats were taken quickly, and latecomers stood at the back or peered through the windows just to be part of the experience. Some came out of curiosity, others out of desperation, but they all left with the same feeling, that they had encountered something truly divine. As the miracles became more frequent and dramatic, the church earned a nickname from its members. It Happens Live. The name reflected the nature of Prophet Mark's ministry. Nothing was staged, and nothing was hidden. People came with heavy hearts and left transformed, claiming they had witnessed the impossible happen before their very eyes. The nickname quickly spread beyond the church walls, becoming a slogan for what the church represented. It was a place where the impossible became possible. Stories of blind people regaining their sight, the sick being healed, and lives being restored spread like wildfire. The city buzzed with talk of the church, and even skeptics found themselves drawn to see what everyone was talking about. The stories that emerged from the church were as varied as the people who attended. A man came with a terminal illness and left feeling renewed. His body healed after a single prayer. A woman burdened by years of shame and guilt said the prophet's words gave her the courage to forgive herself and start anew. The church became a sanctuary for those seeking hope in a world that often seemed cruel and unforgiving. Many testified of finding peace, direction, and joy after attending just one service. For the hopeless and the broken, the church was a lifeline, a place where miracles weren't just possible, they were expected. These stories spread far and wide, drawing even more people to the church. Each person who stepped through the doors brought their struggles with them, believing that they, too, might experience a miracle. And for many, they did. The more people heard about Prophet Mark, the more they wondered about the source of his power. How could one man know so much about strangers? How could he perform miracles that doctors couldn't explain? The prophet was a mystery, and his abilities left everyone in awe. Many believed his power came directly from God, and they worshipped with full trust in his abilities. But a few, especially those close to him, began to feel something wasn't right. While others celebrated his prophecies and miracles, these individuals quietly observed patterns that made them uneasy. Prophet Mark's prophecies were unlike anything people had ever experienced. He would point at someone in the crowd and call out their name, birthday, or secret troubles. He revealed things no one else could have known, leaving his audience in shock and amazement. For example, during one service, he told a woman about an argument she had with her husband the night before, down to the exact words spoken. The woman broke down in tears, confirming everything he said was true. At another service, he told a man about the money hidden in his house and even described the exact hiding place. The man, stunned, went home and found the money, just as the prophet had said. These prophecies convinced many that Prophet Mark was a true servant of God. However, some couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to the story. While the congregation praised the prophet, the church workers, those who spent the most time around him, began to feel uneasy. They noticed that, despite their hard work and dedication, they were not receiving the blessings the visitors did. They served tirelessly, yet their own lives seemed to grow harder. Marriages didn't happen, illnesses lingered, and financial struggles only increased. They told themselves it was a test of faith, but the pattern became too clear to ignore. Whispers of doubt began to circulate among the workers. Some wondered why their sacrifices weren't being rewarded. Others questioned the prophet's methods, though they didn't dare speak their concerns out loud. Unknown to the congregation, Prophet Mark's power did not come from God. Behind closed doors, he performed secret rituals in his office, summoning spirits to reveal personal details about the people attending his services. These spirits provided the knowledge he used to shock the crowd and gain their trust. His ability to heal, prophesy, and perform miracles came from a dark source, a pact with entities that demanded more from him with each passing day. While the congregation celebrated his gifts, the prophet's rituals bound them closer to the darkness he served. As the church grew and more people flocked to him, the weight of his secret began to show. The church workers, feeling spiritually drained and unfulfilled, unknowingly became part of the prophet's rituals. Their lives and spirits were used to sustain the power he needed to maintain his public image. Though most people saw Prophet Mark as a holy man, A few began to sense the shadow lurking behind his miracles. The unease grew stronger, and the truth behind his power remained hidden, at least for now. One Sunday, Prophet Mark stepped onto the pulpit, his presence immediately commanding the attention of everyone in the church. The congregation was filled with anticipation, waiting for the miraculous moment when he would reveal someone's deepest secrets. As the prayers and worship filled the air, he pointed towards a man sitting in the third row. "You," he called, his voice firm yet calm. The man, Oren, looked around nervously, unsure if the prophet was addressing him. "Yes, you. Your name is Oren, born on the 5th of March, 1980. Oren's mouth fell open in shock. "Yes, that's right," he stammered. The prophet continued, "You came here today with a heavy heart, seeking forgiveness for your sins. Isn't that true?" Tears streamed down Oren's face as he nodded. He was overwhelmed, wondering how the prophet could possibly know such personal details. Oren's story resonated with many in the congregation. He had struggled with guilt and regret for years, and had come to the church hoping for a fresh start. Prophet Mark spoke to him with kindness and authority, assuring him that he could find redemption if he truly sought it. "God has seen your heart," the prophet declared. "Your burdens are lifted." Oren wept as the congregation erupted in praise. He left the service that day feeling lighter, convinced that he had encountered a true man of God. His testimony inspired others to share their own struggles, bringing more people to the church in search of healing and hope. Week after week, Prophet Mark's prophecies amazed the congregation. He would call out names, birth dates, and deeply personal details about people in the audience. He revealed illnesses they hadn't told anyone about, and spoke of challenges they thought were hidden. The accuracy of his revelations left the crowd stunned. First-time visitors often left in tears, telling others about the incredible things they had witnessed. Word spread quickly, and the church grew larger as more people came to experience the prophet's power for themselves. Each prophecy strengthened the congregation's faith, and they saw the prophet as a divine messenger. However, as the miracles continued, a few observers began to wonder, how could he know so much? The seeds of doubt were small, but they had been planted. One Sunday, a young woman named Euphoma sat quietly at the back of the church. She had heard stories of Prophet Mark's power, but was reluctant to attend. Her friend had insisted she come, so she finally agreed. As the service began, she hoped she wouldn't be noticed, but Prophet Mark walked directly towards her. "You," he called. Euphoma's heart raced as she looked up, shocked that he knew her name. "You came here from a place you shouldn't have been, from the house of a wealthy man who gave you 100,000 naira last night. Is this not true?" Euphoma froze in disbelief. "Yes, it's true," she whispered. The prophet continued, "The money he gave you was a down payment for something valuable he took from you. That money is cursed. Among the notes, there is one with 3 puncture marks. That note represents your womb, and the ritual he performed will rob you of the ability to have children." The congregation gasped, turning to look at Euphoma as she began to cry. Prophet Mark's words revealed a dark truth that Euphoma couldn't deny. She had trusted the wealthy man, not knowing he had sinister intentions. The prophet's revelation left her trembling with fear. He instructed her, "Bring the money to the altar." With shaking hands, Euphoma reached into her bag and pulled out the bundle of notes. As she sifted through them, she found the one with 3 small puncture marks, just as the prophet had described. The congregation watched in silence as she stumbled to the altar, holding the cursed note. Prophet Mark took it from her, placing it on the altar. He lifted his hands and began to pray with great intensity. As the prophet prayed, he declared, "It is well. The curse is broken." His words filled Euphoma with a sense of relief, she hadn't felt in a long time. She returned to her seat, overwhelmed by the weight lifted from her heart. The congregation erupted into praise, celebrating the miracle they had just witnessed. People marveled at the accuracy of the prophecy and the power of the prayer. Many left that day with even stronger faith in Prophet Mark's abilities, convinced they had witnessed divine intervention. But for Euphoma, the moment was bittersweet. She was grateful for her deliverance, but couldn't shake the fear of what might have happened if she hadn't come to the church that day. The experience left her questioning the true cost of the prophet's power and the dark forces she had narrowly escaped. One Sunday, Prophet Mark called out to a woman, Euphoma, from the crowd. He revealed her husband had thrown her out of their home and was with another woman at a hotel. The congregation gasped when Prophet Mark sent men to bring the couple to the church. They returned with Euphoma's husband and his mistress, both ashamed. Prophet Mark prayed, claiming to break a love spell on the husband, who then begged Euphoma for forgiveness. The congregation celebrated what they believed was a miracle. Every last Friday of the month, Prophet Mark's church held a special event called Suya Night. It was a night like no other. 2 cows were slaughtered, and the meat was grilled into suya, a delicious spicy dish that everyone loved. The aroma of the suya filled the air, drawing people from far and wide. Prophet Mark's church became known for miracles and monthly Suya Night, where members shared food and experienced supposed divine acts. But behind the scenes, Prophet Mark drew his power from the marine kingdom, a dark spiritual force. He performed secret rituals to manipulate his followers' lives and feed off their energy. His prophecies were based on information he gained from these rituals, not divine insight. A newcomer named Ife grew suspicious, noticing that church workers remained unhappy and unblessed despite their sacrifices. She sensed something was wrong and began investigating. Meanwhile, Prophet Mark continued his dark practices, including stealing the destinies of unborn children. One day, during a prayer for a pregnant woman, a powerful light from her belly overpowered him. He collapsed, confessing his dark dealings to the stunned congregation. The church quickly fell apart. Members fled in fear, and Prophet Mark was left alone, begging for forgiveness. Authorities arrested him after evidence of his manipulations emerged. In court, former followers testified against him, exposing the lies and harm he caused. The once thriving church stood abandoned, and Prophet Mark's reign of deceit ended. His fall taught his followers to value faith based on truth and integrity, not miracles or fear. They learned the importance of discernment and building a personal connection with God.